Casting Confidential is where the real casting conversations happen. And ahead of our season 4 launch this February, we're bringing you an exclusive bonus episode focused on the hit show Palm Royale. I'm joined by Amber Chardae Robinson and epic casting director Kerry Barden for a direct, no-nonsense conversation about the work, the casting choices behind the series, and what truly moves the needle in the room. Season 4 is packed with strong episodes, and we're recording on the road. Right now, I'm at Palm Springs International Film Festival, and soon I'll be going to London for the We Audition Actors Pro Expo. If you're interested in sponsoring Casting Confidential, there are a limited number of spots available. Reach us out to us at castingconfidentialpodcast@gmail.com. Now let's get into it.
Let's go.
Hey everyone, I'm Rose Rosen, and this is Casting Confidential, the podcast where we demystify the casting process by putting real conversations in the wide open, right here where you can hear them. Today's episode's a great one. If you watched Palm Royale, you already know the tone is razor sharp, glamour on the surface, teeth underneath, and that balance doesn't happen by accident. I'm thrilled to be joined by casting director Kerry Barden, whose work spans decades and whose eye for tone, character, and actor instincts is legendary. He's known for casting little movies like The Help, Winter's Bone, and Dallas Buyers Club. Welcome, Kerry.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And with us as well is actor Amber Chardae Robinson, who brings such clarity and authority to her work and who knows how to walk into an audition knowing exactly who she is. Of course, we're going to talk about her performance as Virginia in Palm Royale, but she's also known for playing opposite Maya Rudolph in Loot. Love that. And in the movies 80 for Brady and Judas and the Black Messiah, among many others. Welcome, Amber.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. We're going to be talking about casting Palm Royale, what actually happens, helps actors stand out in the auditions like this, and we'll close with a Casting Confidential feedback session featuring an original scene written specifically for today's conversation. All right, Kerry, let's start big picture.
Sure.
Palm Royale lives in a really specific world, wealth, status, coded behavior. When you're casting something like this, what are you looking for beyond the obvious?
Well, I mean, it is a heightened reality, and it's talking to Tate Taylor, who directed the pilot and I've worked with a lot, and Abe Sylvia, who was the showrunner, and trying to figure out what they wanted to do as far as this reality and this specific world goes. And also it's a period piece, so it's a different kind of mindset than we have today. So getting that down was great. We started, Laura Dern had optioned the material, which was the book Mr. and Mrs. American Pie. And she and Tate had started working on that previous to it becoming a miniseries. And then we had, all of the things that's happened in the last 5 years. But we started on the pilot, and we got Laura was attached, and then Kristen Wiig got attached. And then Apple decided to take it on. And that's when we started the real casting portion of the show, and narrowing it down to the series regulars and the recurring roles and so forth and so on. And so we started with lists for a lot of the roles, and then auditions as well, and for the series regulars, which is where we started with this show. And the list were covering all of the regulars plus the people that we thought would be great that weren't on those lists. And we went out to Allison Janney, who was one of Tate's actresses that's been in almost everything he's done, and she said yes. And then we made a list for Carol Burnett's role, which included Carol, and Apple was very diligent about making sure she was able to do a series, even though she's in the first season lying in bed the whole time. And she was at the time doing a 6-city one-woman show tour, so we all decided that she will be fine. And she also, once we sent her the script, she said, I want to work with these 3 women. So we were like, yes. And then we started the rest of the casting process. And we're lucky enough to have great actors come in and go on tape, which I really miss the live version of it. But I look back at our casting tape, and my note on Amber was, I love her. She's grounded and she made me laugh.
Oh, that's
So,
perfect.
and I looked at all my notes on all that of her character, and I was like, "Yep, I was right." So,
That's great. So you went from lists to some self-tape auditions.
yeah, self tapes and some meetings. I mean, we had lists and self tapes for everything, and we I think Tate met with Josh Lucas. He did not read. And he also met with Ricky. And then the rest of the cast was people that read. Everybody in the cast read for their roles. So
So how do you feel about meetings versus actual readings? Like even and my thinking is even if you're so far into your career, sometimes as a caster, I like to hear them read the role. I mean, there's plenty that you can't ask for that.
Tate usually does like to read actors. And as I said, he did not read a couple of them. But he did long meetings with both Josh and Ricky. And obviously didn't need to meet with Laura or Kristen or Carol, although they did meet once she got involved. And Allison obviously had worked with a lot before. But I think that, the readings are good for both the director and the actor because the actor gets to experience what they do as their art, and sitting there and meeting and just talking is a whole different thing. Like I can talk all day long. I'm not an actor. I know what acting is like and I know how to break down a scene and find beats in it, but I don't do that Amber does, and so it's a different thing to sit and talk with someone. And obviously Josh has a body of work, and Ricky's Ricky Martin. So, and I think, I know when he met with both of those people, he did talk about character development and where they wanted to go. And, they had a real in-depth conversation about, what the tone of the show was and where those characters were going to go. And it's this whole taping thing is weird because the story arc that Amber's character has nothing to do with the scenes we did. I mean, it
Mhm.
does, but she's also, playing a character in the show because she's a different person in that character, you know. So, so the presentation she had to give had to have that other element underneath it of, I'm an undercover person too, that, you don't get when you're first reading the couple of scenes that we sent out. So it was an interesting challenge for specifically for that role. The rest of them were pretty straightforward. And so I feel like it was uh, that kind of conversation that you have to have knowing where your character is going to go. And I don't remember if you had that or not, Amber, but
No.
but it is that kind of I knew where everything was going, but the sides necessarily didn't reflect that.
Mhm.
So, there are surprises that come up, and especially, as you go into a second season, there's even more surprises,
Mhm.
so.
So you picked her based on more energy than the actual character that she put together for her read, right?
Well, it was appropriate for the character she's playing underneath or on top of the character she actually did. Because she had to fit in with this world of militant women in the bookstore and so forth and so on without being found out, really, I guess. And so the scenes were actually really they were funny, and she made them funny. And but still, like I said, in my notes, she had it grounded, but got the tone, got the um exaggerated kind of life that these people are living, and the story that, the Tate and Abe were, presenting.
Fascinating. Let
Mm.
me dig a little deeper because I think our business is built on the entire cast, right?
Mhm.
So when you look at it, and here we are in the 60s with an excessive amount of white privilege, right?
Yep.
And here we've chosen Amber for the FBI agent, the undercover FBI agent. So like, and Ricky Martin, Latinx, I'm not sure which, but sorry. But yeah, so let's walk down that process a little bit because I think it's tricky.
Yeah, it is very tricky. And I feel like this was not one of those shows where they wanted to do a Benetton ad, which that
Right.
worked.
No, I understand.
I just watched Hedda, which I thought was brilliant, with Tessa Thompson and
Mhm.
Costa directed. It's unbelievably good. Also, like one of those things where they pushed the envelope, and made a different world that wasn't the actual world, of the 1950s London, high society, but mm, seamless, seamless. I think with this, the Amber's character is, militant, Angela Davis type person. So that was easy to fit in and make authentic feeling. Ricky's character originally was a Vietnam War vet, but because we'd cast Ricky, it was changed into a Korean War vet because of his age, and and it was also seamless because we weren't just trying to check off a box here. We were trying to find actors that really understood the character they were playing and the world that they were living in. And then, Amber's obviously was layered, as was Ricky's, because he's a gay man who, back in that time when it was against the law to be gay, basically, because it was pre Stonewall. And so both of those characters had a lot of layers to them that are not just in the scenes that were as written. They had to, Abe and Tate developed those layers with the actors. And I feel like it shows a different world that does feel like the beginning of a new era in the United States, obviously. And I don't think Florida's necessarily gotten there yet or not, but we do keep trying to tell stories that will give a voice that is something that opens up people's minds
Mhm.
No, that's
in
great.
the way I like to work, and tell stories.
I
So
love that. Amber, how do you feel about that being, if not the only black actor, I think it's close to, right? In this. And also, how close is this character in your mind to what you played in Judas and the Black Messiah? How can you contrast and compare those two?
I feel like Judas prepared me for this role, because it was set in 1969,
Yeah.
um, at a high time for African American people, and to be able to go on the back end on this show and play an FBI agent at that time, knowing what Fred Hampton went through and how the FBI was used to murder him, it was tricky for me. And I wanted to make sure that we got this narrative right, because being in the FBI and looking like me at this time said a very specific thing. And I wanted to make sure that we told a holistic story and not just, oh, she's in the FBI. But I'm like, she's black. It's 1969. And what's she doing in the FBI? I had so
she,
many questions,
Exactly.
Um, but
And
the way
female.
yeah, and female. in a male dominated industry. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, let's talk about this. And Abe was so open to hearing me ramble about it. Him and Laura and Jamie, they made sure that I was comfortable with what I was saying and what I was portraying, because I thought that that was such a great responsibility to tell that story at that time, because it's such a tumultuous time for people that look like me. And the FBI was not our friend. So I just wanted to make sure that I was doing justice to my community and to myself. But when I approached this role, when I read the script, I was like, oh, I know what this is. Okay. Like it was almost like Virginia just stepped in, girl, I got this. Let me handle this. Cause it was like she's the
Really?
only Black person in this high society full of white women who are like worried about their boots and their jewelry, and they got people dying on the street over here that I'm worried about. It's so much thicker than what they're holding in high regard. I was like, oh girl, we got this. Every like My response to the white women in the material was Virginia's response. So it wasn't hard for me. I was reading, I was like, oh, oh, oh. And I was like, you know what? Don't fight how you're feeling. Just put it on tape. I just threw it on tape because I was like, here we go with this shit. Why would she say that? Reading it. Oh, I'm sorry. Reading it, I was like, so sorry. Reading it, I was like, oh, I know this. I just felt like it was in my DNA. And I'm from the South. So being in close proximity to, predominantly white communities that aren't really open to other ethnicities is not foreign to me. So it wasn't hard for me to tackle. I was surprised that the callback, because I felt like I was just like, I'm just gonna be Amber, and I was like, oh, that's what they wanted. Oh, okay. Like I was so surprised that I got back, because I was like,
You
I'm so
felt the you felt the entire role holistically for your read, but you were also surprised at the callback.
I was, because I think I was frustrated with the environment of which Virginia was living in. It frustrated me because I could see that she was the only one, what she was dealing with, what that environment must have felt like for her. And I was like, I'm just gonna throw this on tape. I'm gonna throw it on tape and see what happens. I was like, oh, that's what they wanted. That's what they
Yeah.
wanted. My instincts were right. Woo! Thank you,
Oh,
God. Like,
that is it. That is it. I love it. I love it. So, at a certain point in your career, it's not about getting in the room, it's about what people already know and believe in you, right? What do you think casting directors and showrunners now associate with your name?
that's a hard question.
uh,
Well, I like to bring some hard ones in. Why not? The last one was
Yeah,
so falderal.
I would hope that I can only say what I would hope what they think about when they, I guess, consider me, is that I'm grounded, I'm authentic, um, that I work hard, and that I take it seriously, but not so seriously that it affects my work. That I have a good balance when it comes to being an actor, and that I'm well versed in all genres, comedy, drama, whatever it may be. So I hope I can only hope that's how I'm perceived. Amen. Okay.
I bet that's close to true. I really, when
Hope
you
so.
say Carrie, it sounds.
well, I mean, she used a word that I had written in my notes about her, which is she's grounded, you know, but funny. And I looked through, I think, 6 auditions that you had taped for over the period that we started taping things. And our notes were, my notes, or, Paul's notes were always, we love her. So every
Oh, good
time
being.
she came in, every time she taped, it was like, oh, this is great. And then, of course, with actors like Amber, they make us look good.
That's what we look for, Amber.
Yeah,
It's
which is great because it's like, I mean, this is why we, have not a stable of actors, but actors that we always want to explore so that
Mhm.
we can figure out. Also, like actors give us notes from watching them about
Mhm.
is, which aren't necessarily on the page or not necessarily what another actor does. And so Amber said, I just came in to be me, and it's like, well, that's the first thing that sets you apart is that you're being your authentic self and and also living inside of that character's head
Yeah.
and keeping it in the tone of this especially this play had a definite tone to it, and also the world that of 1969 was there's so many layers to your character that it's like we got the right person because this is a woman who has a lot of layers,
Yeah.
and comedy, which is not the easiest thing in the world, especially in that group of really well established comedic actors. So it's
So you
good.
mentioned authentic, how she brings authenticity. I think that's thrown a lot around, a lot in acting classes. So I want you to explain to our gentle listeners.
It's just living in the world that is created by the script. There's nothing authentic about
That's
the vacuum that we're in the audition space. You're
Mhm.
reading with a reader. You're, reading in a space that's nothing. So it's vacuum, but you have to create that world that you're living in and the world that you're experiencing with the other character in opposite you in that, which you have to do in acting as well. And so I feel like that authenticity is brought about by the actor sinking into what is this person thinking? Did they go to college or, get a GED or, so you have to figure out all of that stuff. When you mentioned Winter's Bone, when we did Winter's Bone, it was one of those, these actors all shop at Barney's. We're plopping them down in the middle of, a world that doesn't even have a Walmart,
Mhm.
and is this going to feel truthful. And I feel like, Deborah Granick, who directed it, and the ensemble of actors we put together understood the world that they were living in, as opposed to the world that they're from. And so I think that to me is what I mean when I say authenticity. And I know it's a word that's thrown around a lot, but
Mhm.
we're making things up.
Yeah, no, yeah, we're making things up, and then like what I want to say to the actors is, as you just pointed out, it's not you being you, it's you bringing like your essence to a character and understanding the character and making that character authentic. I
Your
think that's what you're
experiences.
saying. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's this.
I love that. So how intentional, Amber, have you been about shaping this reputation that I think is pretty solid for you at this point?
In the show or in real life?
No, for your actor self. Like tell us about your work journey. And yeah, I mean, listen, our listeners are a lot of actors, and I want them to hear, and do you know what messages I get every single day?
What?
How can I start in acting? How can I start in acting? From around the world, 100 a day. And it's just, I want to break it down that starting is I mean, it's working every day. So explain that a little bit.
It is working every day. It is sometimes doing things that you don't want to do to be able to do what you ultimately want to do. Um, I have never I've never had I will say a full thought of this was not for me. If I did, it was kind of like I'm emotional. Like I'm being irrational right now. You just did something 2 weeks ago. Chill. Like I, it's the groundedness of it. I am so sure that from the age of like 7 or 8 years old that this is what I was supposed to do. And every step leads to the next step. You may not be on Broadway tomorrow. Your face may not be on a billboard tonight. But if you do that reading for $25 in Harlem, you might meet somebody there that's like, hey, I have this that I'm doing, and it'll pay you $35. And then I went to school,
$10
got
more.
got my degrees. I lived in New York for 6 years. I did readings for train passes. I've done work for free, readings for friends. Anytime somebody gave me the opportunity to act was an opportunity for me. I never thought that I was bigger than the opportunity. I don't think I'm bigger than the program. I think any opportunity to flex your muscle or like work out. It's like a workout. Anytime you get a chance to work out, get in it, get in the gym. It doesn't matter what you necessarily, I'm not getting paid enough for this. I'm gonna be in the woods somewhere doing two-bit theater. Do that two-bit theater is gonna change your life. You never know who you're gonna meet because every step leads to the next step. So it's not about being famous tomorrow. It's not about being famous at all. It's actually about doing the work and um, loving what you're doing and living in this craft and bringing characters to life and growing and learning so much about yourself. Um, it is the opportunity to be an artist. This is the journey. That's the journey. That's what we're on. And that's the most exciting part. Because once you reach fame and you can't go to the grocery store no more, you can't do what you want to do no more. Now what? You know, like enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey indeed.
Yeah.
What's something about your career that looks effortless but was actually hard won?
I think it was getting out of my own way in a sense. I'm a Virgo, so I'm very like details. It has to be like this. It doesn't have to be the way we see it all the time, as long as we are moving and doing it, moving in it, if that makes any sense. If you're working towards a goal, it doesn't matter if your shoes are double tied or not, or, um, I think I've learned so much about letting go and trusting that the work that I've done is enough. I went to school for 8 years. I got 2 degrees in this. I should trust that I've done the work. And if I feel like I haven't done the work, let me get in the acting class. I'm not bigger than the program. You get what I'm saying? Like just stay focused. And yeah, I think I think that makes sense. I don't know.
No, I love that. I love that. Was there ever a risk you took that didn't pay off the way you hoped, but ultimately taught you something essential about how you're perceived in the industry?
When I might have been a freshman in college, or if not a senior in high school. I wouldn't say we got scammed, but let me tell the story. So they the radio station commercial came on and it was like, oh, we're looking for actors and models. Why don't you come down to the Holiday Inn? And I was like, Mama, this is the moment. This is it. We got to go down there. This is it. I'm a small town girl. This is it. This is it. She was like, okay, Chardae, let's go down there. You walk up, they look at you. They like, okay, come back tomorrow. I'm like, oh, they like me. They just looked at me. It wasn't anything rooted in what the industry is, what I know the industry is now, being in it. It was a scam, of course. And we went to Dallas and I got to perform these monologues in front of these people. And I didn't, you get to perform in front of these agencies and they were looking for kids and all kind of stuff. And I didn't get past the second round. I guess it was the second round. And I was so heartbroken. I was like, this is the end. This is the end. Mind you, I'm like 17. I don't know. But I think that was the first time I was able to stand in front of people, give a monologue, be confident in my choices, and get good feedback. Even though I didn't make it, I was like, I do have something here. Something, I'm a small town girl, wasn't a lot of theater, wasn't a lot of acting where I was from. So this was my first time flexing this muscle. And I was like, I do have something. I learned by just taking one step might lead to the other. I didn't get there. I didn't get what I wanted, but I think God had other plans for me to go and learn and train and go to school. And um, I don't think if I would have done that, if I wouldn't have done that, I probably wouldn't have went to school and got my degrees. It kind of gave me like a little fire up under me, like, oh, I have to do this now. I have to. It's a thing. I cried and I got over it. And but that's with anything. When I lose a job, I will cry over it. Especially if I get really close. It's okay to cry. I cry. I'm like, what? How come they don't want me, man? Like, what I do wrong? And sometimes it's not even about you, They
Right.
don't want me.
Rarely is.
And so I give myself 5 minutes to cry. I wipe those tears and I get back on the horse because it's not the end.
Smart.
I never thought that I wasn't gonna make it. I've never thought that just because they don't want me, this is the end. For some reason, I just always get back up, get back up, get back up.
So it was a scam that actually worked for you, huh?
Guess. I guess you could say that they didn't want me, but guess what? It don't matter. I'm here. I'm here now.
Right. And you saw something in yourself, which was really cool. What can you tell actors to help them avoid scams, even if they might work for them?
Anytime they ask for money, it's not it. If they're asking, hey, if you give us $1,500, we'll put you in front of a casting director.
Yeah.
No, no, that's not how
Right.
the industry works. So
Yeah.
if they're asking for money, you need to be, who sent you? You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what we're working with right now because there's been a lot of scams going on. And it's like we've been telling SAG and, all of the Actors Access and Breakdown, if a casting director asks you for money, it's a scam, period.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think it goes along with, these people that are saying, come down to the Holiday Inn and audition for us and
Hmm.
fly yourself to, Dallas or wherever it was. It's a scam.
Yeah.
Yeah. And modeling agencies too, and acting agencies and managers, none of them should be asking for money up front. They should be making a percentage of your check after you
Yeah.
book.
Sure.
After the work they get you. Yeah.
Supposedly. Okay, so Kerry, you've been doing this long enough to have seen every trend come and go. What's a casting myth actors need to let die?
A casting myth.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't know which ones. I mean, there are so many.
There are so many.
You
Just
know,
pick a couple.
I mean, obviously, the casting couch is something that was not anywhere to go because it's not the casting directors, obviously,
Hmm.
or hopefully anyway. Um, and I feel like, there is, everybody thinks there's nepotism in our business. There is family heritage that people have. But I would say Henry Fonda and then Jane and Peter and then down to Bridget and that whole lineage is they're in the family business. They're very good at it, you know. And I think a lot of people go into their family business because that's where they're
But you know.
guided to. So I feel like these myths have to be broken apart because if you want to be an actor, be an actor. And
Mhm.
it's like you were saying, you just go and do it. And every time you get a chance to act, and auditioning is acting,
Yeah.
showing me and my colleagues in casting what you have to offer. And so you get to act that day for,
Hmm.
15 minutes or whatever it is. And it should feel good. I'm sorry I ever made you cry. If if
I don't
the
think
job you didn't get from me didn't, but I
I'm
also get
co-starring.
that
Not on you
that you're
here.
giving that you're giving of yourself, and
Yeah.
you want it to be honored and
Yeah.
and accepted. And there are so many different reasons somebody doesn't get a job and
Yeah.
so many reasons that somebody does get a job. Usually it's because they did something that felt honest, about the person that they're presenting. And
Hmm.
because it's the honesty of themselves, they're showing up, they're being aware, and they are jumping in with both feet.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, a difficult thing to do as a person because we all have our walls up. But as an actor, I feel like, I see people drop their walls and become vulnerable and, give me things that human beings don't usually show to other human beings, So I think that's the gift that actors have to be able to show that life that's uncomfortable a lot. And they give it's kind of like giving birth in a way,
Yeah.
you know. So it's
I love that.
pretty amazing.
I agree. Can I just say that one of the
Please.
things I've learned as an actor is that um, when you talk about walls, a lot of times I feel like I've met a lot of actors in my day. I've been in school.
Mhm.
A lot of actors struggle with letting their walls down. A lot of people wear masks in the world, and sometimes coming into a role, you're going into an audition room, they think that people can't see that. And sometimes people can see that the reason why you can't get this character out is because there's a wall up within you. I think that's why it's so important as an actor to go to therapy and to deal with your stuff so that you can be that true vessel that can tap into whatever is given to you. Of course, everything isn't going to be right for you, but to be able to deal with your stuff, to be able to put it to the side and step into a role without something pulling or nagging at you that's holding you back from something. I think it's so important to work on yourself mentally as well.
Oh, that's smart. In that vein, is there something actors you think obsess over that really doesn't matter in general? Either one of you.
Whether
Mm.
somebody's going to like them or not.
How many followers they have?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
I don't.
That doesn't matter.
Then on the flip side, what matters far more than actors realize?
Their energy.
It's similar to what I was going to say. I think one of the things that I feel like is important for an actor to do is to show up and be confident about what they're presenting, even if they're in a vulnerable place as the character, but just say, hey, this is who I am and this is what I have to offer you.
Mhm.
And that confidence really, really works. And then the here I am in this room or here I am on this tape is something that you jump into,
Mhm.
uh, if that makes sense.
No, of course. If you give one opinionated piece of advice to actors auditioning right now, what would that be? We'll start with Amber.
Um, like Carrie said, like take the pressure off of yourself and realize, like shift your mindset into thinking that this is an opportunity for me to act. This is an opportunity for me to like do what I love instead of, oh, I have this audition and how many pages, how many sides and all this jargon and like all of the things that come with it that may take your mind out of the happiness or the joy that acting brings you. Focus on, oh my God, I get to act today. Like if you try to shift your perspective, I promise you it'll change. It'll open up a world for you and you'll approach your work differently. And that energy that we're talking about will shine through. Because when you're fed up or you don't want to do this, people can see that, people can feel that. So try to be as much of a clear channel and excited about your work as you possibly can.
Yep.
Here.
Say the question again because what she said was a lot of what I think about when I'm watching it.
One piece of advice to actors auditioning. Oh, no, wait, that we already did that. Oh, let's see. Oh, let's see. What would it be? And then, what was the question? I don't even know anymore.
It was about auditioning.
What
Yeah.
matters far more than actors realize?
Oh, I think that knowing what the material is important and seeing if you can make the lines work without
Mhm.
having to improv your way through them,
Mm.
saying it out loud because it does change the rhythms of a scene. And if you have somebody that you can read with, try to get that, back and forth going with, another actor or somebody that's smart enough to figure out who that person is that can feed you, some things that will make your performance feel present.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Um, So, everything we've talked about today, reputation, authority, point of view, it all shows up clearly when an actor like Amber has almost nothing to play. It's just all there on the surface for you. And I love Amber what you bring to your characters. You
Thank
you
you.
you light me up. I promise you. I have watched you I mean from the Judas and the Black Messiah. Love that character on Lute. I was revisiting her. Oh, wonderful.
Anya. Yeah.
Yeah. And now in Palm Royale, I mean, what a pleasure. What a pleasure to see um the range you give with yourself underneath it, and that's what I like to see as a viewer. It's what I like to see as a casting director. And so for me, great choice, Kerry.
What a gift from Amber.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no kidding, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. We make these choices, in a room, and we figure it all out, and then we pray that it all works. And boy, what a group of actors you have on that show. That's incredible, incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the great thing about this cast is that everyone has someone to play with. There's not
Mhm,
anybody that's not in the game and playing. And, it's like Amber gives Laura Dern something to work with, and Laura gives her something to work with. And
mhm,
Ricky and Carol are great together, because, they're vibing off of each other basically.
mhm.
And I feel like that's what's exciting about putting a big cast like this together, because each person brings something to the table that everybody else gets to play with. You know, Nobody's just following; they're all
Mhm,
gaming.
mhm.
You know,
I love that.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Amber, before we bring our feedback actor onto the stage?
I just want to say thank you for having me. This was so cool and so much fun. Like, it's not every day that we get to talk this in depth about casting and acting on any platform like this. So I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. Tell all your friends to listen to the podcast. We need all of the listeners. Like, follow, rate, and review.
Yes, ma'am.
Any final thoughts from you, Carrie?
I just enjoyed this, and I miss so much being in a room with an actor and just talking.
Yeah.
You know,
Talking it through.
and
Yeah.
getting tapes is great, and we're getting a lot more tapes than we could auditions in person, because of the time constraints and
Hmm.
driving in LA and all that stuff. But I just love this back and forth conversation,
Yeah.
which is
To
why I
feel each
love
other's
being,
energy.
yeah, love
Yeah.
being in the room all day today, with actors and directors and, artists,
They are fully in the room with theater. They have been there. If you want to be in the room, I should just tell the actors that are begging to be back in the room, like, just go to
I
theater.
do theater.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Do some plays.
It's still
If
alive.
that's what you need to do, then you will be
Yes.
in the room. And
Yes.
it's like you can orchestrate, like you said, Amber. You can orchestrate your career. You can make it what it is, but
Yeah.
don't complain about what is there.
Yeah.
You
Take
know,
what you can get so you can learn.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you learn that's what I heard from you, is you learned each rung along the ladder. You
You
learned
step it
something.
away.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that is always for me what a working actor does. If you're not learning, you're not going to the next scene.
Yeah.
You're
You're
just
not
not,
working. Yeah.
you're not working. Today's guest actor, chosen from an Instagram lottery, is Lua Greenwood, direct to us from the UK. Welcome, Lua.
Hello, hello. It's a pleasure to be here tonight with all of
See,
you.
see, and I wasn't lying about London.
No, absolutely not. There is an open tour, if you will, of the entire old of London town for all of you. If you ever pop along, it's all there for all of you.
I'm taking him up on it. I'll be there in February. So, this is an original scene written for today, and you guys are going to perform it. And Amber will read Marjorie. And you guys all ready? We're
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
get
Yeah.
feedback. All right.
Righty. Oh,
We've had to make some adjustments.
of course.
Several names were reconsidered.
Reconsidered.
You understand the position we're in.
I do. May I ask, which concerns rose to the surface?
Surface isn't the word I'd use.
Then I'll trust your depth
You're very composed.
I found it's best not to rush inevitabilities.
We'll proceed as planned.
There's
Oh, my apologies. I am so sorry. I did not realize there was a second page there.
a couple of things that thank you.
Thank you.
That's okay. We'll fix that on the next read. How's that? Kerry, you have some feedback?
I feel like an actor who I've sent sides to with no information.
Uh-huh.
And so I watched both of these actors navigating through the scene to try to figure out what the shape of it is. And I feel like you both found a really interesting shape. And now I want to I want to know more because you stayed completely connected, even though, there's more to the scene. And you listened, and Amber gave you some really fun stuff to play off of. Yeah, just continue is what I would say.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, yeah, Amber, you've got some thoughts for Lua?
I think it's a really cool scene. I feel the same way as Carrie does. I'm like, okay, we're gonna figure this out. When I first
Yeah.
read it, it reminded me of Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada. Um, it gives that energy a little bit to me. I was like, okay, she's not really connecting. And then she does connect, which is intentional. Um, and I feel like he is eager to give whatever it is he has to give, and she's kind of like about it. So it's an interesting scene.
I love that. Do you feel like you're on the same page now, or do you need a discussion?
I feel like we certainly are. I think there's an energy that I think it's kind of like it needed a beginning catalyst, so to speak. And I
Hmm.
think that we found it. And I think
Hmm.
Amber as well was definitely like you were throwing things at the wall, and I was just like, oh, I got a splash back on that. So absolutely, yeah. I definitely want to give this another jab and see where we can take it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And go.
We've had to make some adjustments.
Of course.
Several names were reconsidered.
Reconsidered.
You understand the position we're in.
I do. May I ask which concerns rose to the surface?
Surface isn't the word I use.
Then I'll trust your depth.
You're very composed.
I found it's best not to rush the inevitabilities.
We'll proceed as planned.
Thank you. I'll inform the others. You're still welcome.
You're confident.
No. I'm prepared.
I love it. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Such a great adjustment. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's very
It
fun.
definitely has that. I don't know. It has like when you sent over the lines to begin with, it has like an enigma kind of coated in the literature of it all. So when you're trying to
Mhm.
analyze it, when I first read it, I kind of thought, you kind of impulse thoughts. I don't know if you would agree, Amber,
Mhm.
kind of like, the who's, the when's, the what's, the why's, and, the kind
Yeah.
of basis. So I kind of thought, it had like almost, I thought maybe it might be some kind of clinical trial to begin with or something. But then as time progressed, I started thinking it might have more of like a business venture. And that's
Mhm.
kind of going into that degree of things. And then obviously I noticed that there was a very, there was a dynamic between the two characters that I don't know. I think it kind of clicked that there was something like a chemistry that works between them. I think it's on the I'll trust your depth aspect. When, I think for someone to set up a frame in the way that Marjorie and Edward are talking, because Marjorie is obviously very analytical, very and I just kind of feel with the energy, your patience, and I just kind of feel like it had that fluidity to it, with you. Just the way that you kind of, when I was looking at you, when you had to kind of say, several names were reconsidered, and just that had like a flow to it, which I just felt like I had to jump on and behind, like, you was leading the train and I was just a mere passenger carriage behind it. And I loved it. I felt it was really enjoyable.
I think she also is surprised at how communicative he is. I don't think she's used to somebody talking to her in this way. I don't think she's used to someone, like she said, you're confident. Because the way you're talking, like you saying a lot. And I don't know, like she's like, I feel like she's like, where did he come from? Like she's just really taken aback at how he's not tiptoeing around her. That's the vibe I get. Which I found to be, it gives you somewhere to go. Because I feel like in her mind in the beginning, she was going to say whatever she had to say, go on about your day. She wasn't expecting much back and forth. But because he stayed and because he's talking about he'll trust her depth, who do you think you are? Who is this? Like, it makes her want to know more.
It's got that kind of like last few minutes. Yeah. It was like kind of, there's a double take somewhere in there, isn't there, for someone?
Man.
Yeah. The audacity of him.
Yeah. I really liked that there was a shift in the balance of power too. When you like decided to get up, it was like, oh, there's a power dynamic that just shifted. You can see when you're watching it from my point of view anyway, that was interesting and gave Amber's character some new place to go, as opposed to what you were saying. You thought, okay, just get out of here now. And then it changed, so that was interesting to me, that you were still playing in this, after being almost dismissed, you were still playing in that world of, push and tug.
Tug of war, yeah.
It was good. Really, really fun choices.
I love this. I could watch actors talk about a scene for hours, as I know Kerry could too. It's exactly why we do the show, to take the mystery out and put some clarity in.
I know
you guys, amazing. Thank you, Lua, for coming.
Thank you.
And playing with us. Yes.
Yes. Hello. Thank you.
Huge thanks to Kerry Barden and Amber Chardae Robinson for such an honest, generous conversation. And if you found this helpful, please share it with another actor who needs and wants to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to Casting Confidential wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'm Rose Rosen, and I'll see you next week. That's a wrap on today's episode of Casting Confidential. If you're loving the show, here's what you need to do. Follow us right now on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling inspired, take a minute to leave us a rating and review. It's the best way to help us grow and keep bringing you these behind-the-scenes stories. Join the conversation with us on Instagram at Casting Confidential and drop us your thoughts or questions. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep your craft sharp and your audition sharper. See you back here for another episode of Casting Confidential.
One of the greatest podcasts in television and film, with Rose Rosen, CSA, and all the friends, bringing you Casting Confidential. Casting, that's essential. Casting, so eventful. Kind of tune in to close friends, chilling with Rose. We call it Casting Confidential. Get a notepad ready, grab a pen and pencil. For magic to jot down, tell a friend too. A wonderful podcast in TV and film, we call it Casting Confidential. Let's go.